Good day, everyone. In this video, we are going to talk about the processing of the herbal medicine. There are different purposes of processing. Firstly, clean and purify. Prepare for the pharmacy use. Dry for storage. Remove funny smells. Reduce the toxic components. Increase the effective components, or change the property of the medicine. Guide to specific meridians. Because the herbs are grown in the farm, so when you collect them, it is inevitably to be mixed with some other non-medical plants or non-medical parts. So one is to be mixed with the other plants. You're going to remove the different plants. The second is if the herbal medicine, we're only going to use the root, for example. In the process of cleaning or purifying, you're going to remove the stem or the leaves. You only keep the root because that's the parts you're going to use as the medicine. So in the process of cleaning and purifying, you're going to remove the non-medical component, non-medical parts. The second reason for the processing is to prepare for the pharmacy use. In the pharmacy, we don't cut the plants or the roots. All these herbal medicine have been processed and prepared for the pharmacy use. So these herbal medicine will be cut into slices according to the requirements from the pharmacopoeia. Dry for storage. So in order to store the herbs to preserve the quality, you need to dry the herbs. Otherwise, it's going to goes off. You're going to limit the percentage of humidity in the herbs. After processing, we also can remove the funny smells from the herbs, especially from some animal products or biochemical products. Some of them will have funny smells, so we can use the processing method to remove these kinds of smell, to reduce the toxic components. For example, in the previous videos, we have mentioned the one herb, foods. And now I said that's the foods. The effective components is same as the toxic components. But in order to have a safe practice, you need to keep the toxic components. You need to limit the toxic components. That's why we need to process the foods. Then in the prescription, we will write 制麸质. 制 in Chinese, it means processed. So in this way, we don't use raw foods. If you use raw, the toxic component will be too high, and it is not safe for the clinical practice. So we will use 制麸质. And in this situation, the purpose of processing foods is to reduce the toxic components, to increase the effective components, to change the property of medication. Some herbs, we're going to have an example in the next slides for the change the properties of medication. Patients suffer from red eyes, headache, and in the meantime, the patient suffer from constipation. So when you see from these symptoms, then you can conclude that the patient suffer from lung heat, and the patient suffer from large intestine heat. These two. So you might remember that in the previous slides we have discussed that there's one herb called 带黄. Daihuang can be used for constipation because Daihuang can cause diarrhea. As Daihuang goes downwards, it can go to the large intestine, but this patient causes the red eyes and headache, which are in the upper parts of the body. So we want the Daihuang to go outwards, not only to the large intestine, but also go to the lung, go to the head. How can we do this? We're going to stir fry the Daihuang with the wine ascent. So we try to ascend Daihuang to the upper parts of the body. So that's the purpose of processing. Guide to specific area. How to process. Here also will be another example to change the property of the medicine. The previous one for Daihuang is to process to change the direction or to change it to different meridian, to change the property of the herbs. For example, Baizu, if you stir fry to yellow or even brown, you will make the herbs warmer. You will make Baizu warmer. When Baizu is warmer, it is more suitable for patients with yang deficiency, especially for spinning yang deficiency. So instead of using raw baizu, we use stir-fried yellow or stir-fried in brown, or even stir-fried into charcoal. So these are three different processing methods to change the property of the herbs. How to process? Firstly, we're also going to clean, to purify the herbs, the one we need. Utilize water, wash, soak, spray in with the water. It depends on what kinds of herbs. And then you also can use fire. So these are three. You can go one by one, or you can use that one directly. To clean or to purify, such as the baizu, you can use the water to clean directly. You can stir fry with fire. You can, or you don't have to. So it depends on what's the purpose and which one you prefer to use. You can stir fry into yellow or stir fry into brown, stir fry into charcoal. So because we not really process in our practice, so we're not going to introduce how to process, how to stir fry into yellow or brown, how to stir fry into charcoal. If you are interested, we will introduce this information in the course, the compounding and dispensing license course. Processing also can guide to specific meridian. For example, we have introduced the flavors in the previous videos. When you stir fry with vinegar, you can guide the herbs to the liver. When you stir fry with salt or salty water, you can guide the herbs to the kidney. So these are different ways to process herbs. There are many different approaches to process herbs. So if you are interested, you can find more information on the processing of the herbal medicine. We're not going to introduce in very details, just give you a general idea that the herbal medicine, before they can be used, it must be processed. There are other commonly used processing methods, such as the Ijuni fine powder, fermented, or mixed with other herbs. The Ijuni fine powder, for instance, the second one, Huashi. How to process this? This is a kind of mineral products. You're going to grind the products, the mineral products, in the water, and then the water will become cloudy. and you're going to keep the cloudy water in the container for a few days. After a few days, the substance in the water will sink down, and then you pour out the water, you take the substance at the bottom, thus become 滑石, and this is when you see 滑石, you will see it will become a kind of fine powder. It's extremely fine powder. So that's one of the way to process fermented. Fermented, this is made from this 神曲 is good for the stomach problem, digestive function. You're going to use the flour and other medicine. You put them together, and after fermented, it becomes 神曲. And this one is good for the digestive system. Someone got a poor appetite, then you can use 神曲. You also can process the herbal medicine with the mixing method with other medicine. For example, 茯苓. This herb is a root, is a funky root, and though it is good for the stomach and also good for edema, but in the same time, the patient suffer from irritation or palpitation. So we want the 茯苓to help the heart as well. We're going to mix the 茯苓with 朱砂. 朱砂is in red color. So when you mix them, according to certain ratio, the 茯苓, the white 茯苓will change into slightly red color, become like this. The red color can enter the heart. And then in this situation, we call 朱茯苓. 朱茯苓. 朱 in Mandarin means red. So it actually means red 茯苓in red color. So these are different kinds of processing methods